Hello, beautiful warrior hearts. Um, Maria here. I'm back. Um, I know every time I post a video, I literally say, it's been a while since I posted a video, but that is literally how I roll. Any of you that follow Sam and I know that she is way more out there in the sense of putting herself out there to be seen and heard. And I freaking love her for that because it continues to inspire me to do the same. Because I know our stories are powerful as humans. I know her and I stories are powerful and probably crazy to a lot of people, but also resonating for a lot of other people. So, in honor of a commitment I made to myself in November at an event we went to, this calendar year, I am committing to being more seen, taking up space, sharing my voice, sharing my medicine, sharing it all. I've spent a long time in hiding, um, partially per choice, but also partially um, expected in previous relationships. So again, all my own doing to hide myself, right? And so now here I am showing up in the world and showing my face on screen and about to talk about some pretty deep, vulnerable stuff because that's what I do. And as one of my soul brothers always reminds me of, that my one of my facets of embodied medicine is my vulnerability, my ability to be real, feel it all, not hold it in, no matter where I am, who I'm talking to. I keep it real as much as I can as I continue to strip away more programs, right, that aren't me. I continue to be more me. And in that, I'm very sensitive. I'm a very deep feeler. So I'm vulnerable as fuck. And so this video will be a reflection of that. And so I come to you today, all crazy bedhead, dreadhead hair. Those of you that know me know that there's many a day where I just don't care what I look like, as long as I'm comfy and whatever. And today's one of those days. So once again, I come to you as real as I am in this now moment. Um, I am not naked, by the way. I do have clothes on because it kind of looks like I don't, but I do. But I am about to get naked in the sense of bearing my soul and my shadow in this video. What I'm going to share, I've shared in a couple different videos that I've made. Sam and I have talked about it in our podcast and just other things, but I feel like this video is just gonna kind of bring it all together up to this point, right? Because I am still remembering parts of my story, as we all are. But as I continue to evolve and allow information to come through, more memories come back. And so it evolves the way I share my story because I continue to heal and find forgiveness around things that have happened to me in this lifetime. And so I'm just going to talk about my connection with the Epstein files. Um, so, as we all know, the E files, and that's just how I'm going to refer to them for this video, are taking over the collective kind of awareness right now. Why? Because it's finally mainstream. So, people that have shunned this information in the past, not been ready for it, And trust me, I get it. That is not a judgment by any means. Um, it's an observation. And there's been many people that have not wanted to be aware of this information, even though this information has been out there in various facets for quite some time. Um, so I'm going to share probably a pretty unique perspective because it's based on my experience. And it may trigger the F out of some people. It may inspire other people. My hope is really just to share my story, to bring some hope and maybe shifted perspectives as to what's going on. Because those of us that already have known these things for a while know how vile and disgusting and disheartening the darkest secrets of this earth plane are. Those of us that are just kind of waking up to this now, my heart goes out to you because I know it's not easy. And I would encourage anyone that is diving into this information, whether it's via the actual files or the plethora of information that's being blasted at us from everywhere, I encourage you to be mindful of how it's affecting you because everything is energy and everything we take in has an impact on us. And if we ourselves are still very much living in our own unconscious shadow trauma, this shit is going to be a lot to swallow. So, no matter where you perceive yourself to be in your own sort of healing, awakening journey, just be compassionate with yourself as you are exposed to this information. And also discernment, people, discernment. Because, like everything, there is a mass amount of information being pumped out at us, but it's coming from all different places, all different perspectives, all different agendas. So remember too that a lot of it is still very distorted. And that is the purpose of all of this. It is to continue to confuse us, the masses, that are still very much waking up out of a very deep slumber. And so take breaks if you're looking into these things. Use your grounding tools. Stay in your heart. Stay in your heart. Stay in your heart. Because love is not afraid of these things. Love does not fear these realities because love is truth, and love already knows that these realities are truth. So if you can't stay in your heart and you're up here while you're doing your research, you might want to take a break. If it's triggering memories of your own stuff, take a break and reach out to someone that can support you. Sam and I are very much here to support you. And this is not me selling services. This is me being real and inner standing, understanding, overstanding, superstanding. What is coming up for people as this information is pumped out to us? You need to take care of yourselves while this is happening because there is also an agenda with this disclosure to break people's psyche. Okay. Just like they've been doing to our psyche since we joined in this game. They've been programming us, manipulating us, brainwashing us. Okay. There is a very intentional agenda behind everything they do. And so if you think that this disclosure is all about freeing humanity, there's two sides to every coin. While in many ways that is true, it is also important to be able to see the opposite and realize that because this information is being controlled and how it's being leaked out and manipulated and distorted, you have to be able to see again how that's affecting our collective psychological wellness. Okay. Because again, there are many people that aren't spiritually equipped yet to be able to handle this information and use it as medicine in the way that I have since I started waking up a little over 8 years ago. I've shared my story about like my first spiritual awakening on a video here on our YouTube and basically talked about how my higher self pushed me into my awakening and basically showed me simultaneously all of the lies and deceit out there and mirrored them with the lies I'd been telling myself, right? All of my programming, all of my trauma, all of my suppressed shit. And so it was perhaps maybe a rude awakening, but it wasn't because I was ready for it. And it was like as soon as my higher self started showing me all of this stuff living in the shadows, I couldn't I couldn't stop. I became so curious and intrigued as to why am I the way I am as an adult? Once I realized how codependent humanity is, because it's been, again, programmed into us from all of the systems to depend on them, but also they create a lot of the dysfunction and disease, right? It's literally it's like an abusive relationship. And when you can really like observe that we as humans have a very abusive relationship with the system, then you say, oh my God, that probably means because I understand, understand, superstand energy, that probably means that that shows up in other areas of my life because it's frequency, it's vibration. Okay. And codependency, attachment, those are all things that are literally rooted in the energy of fear. It's fear consciousness. I know this so well because I was in a very wounded codependent marriage. And it has been my greatest teacher and also my rudest awakening. Maybe not the rudest, because that what I share about the e-files, that was probably the rudest awakening. Um, but yet it has also become the most empowering remembering for me. And I know that it's so I can hold space for a plethora of us that are going to go through a lot of the same realizations. And so I come to you with a very unique perspective of what is happening in regard to everything that's being disclosed in the e-files. And let me tell you, my friends, the rabbit holes are deep. Um, and use discernment. Use discernment. I am again very grateful that in my awakening, I was simultaneously like, while I'm waking up to this human corruption, I'm simultaneously waking up to my spiritual gifts. And so while I did external research at that time, my guides, which is just aspects of my higher self and God's source creator, really encouraged me to do the internal research of the things that I was like finding out in the external world. Like I dove into external things, right? But I'm so intuitive and like I would feel the energy of how things were being delivered and like it didn't resonate or there was like this mismatch in the message, right? And so that's when I was like, okay, I can see now, like, as we wake up to these realizations, like, how we become even more confused because you're like, well, what the F do I believe, right? Because there's a video out there for everything. I feel like there's something out there that validates every truth, right? But it's also because we have technology and CGI and all these things that we can fake too. So it's like, it used to be like, well, if it's caught on video, you can believe it. But I that's not even the case anymore, right? And so how do you believe what the F is true and not in all of this information? You have to go within yourself. You have to tune into your own intuition because that is going to be your most reliable source, your most trustworthy source, and the one that has your highest and best interests at heart. Intuition is our weapon against what is happening. Because when you trust your intuition, when you trust your heart, not your mind, okay? Your heart, your intuitive feelings and knowings within your body, when you trust that, you can't be duped. You can't be duped, okay? So, again, my perspective of the e-files comes from my own lived experience. It does not resonate with everyone. In fact, it probably, well, no, it doesn't probably. It triggers the F out of a lot of people because I'm at a point now where I have released a lot of my anger about all of it. Um, don't get me wrong, I am still human. And because I am multidimensional and honor all aspects of me, and Maria Gingras is human right now in this game. So Maria Gingras has her own human emotions around um what is happening right now. Because let me tell you, the things that are being leaked, like they happened years ago, like it's all still happening. Like it's very important that people realize that. This is all still happening. It's been happening long before Stein um entered the picture. Like this is ancient shit that goes way back, okay? Of basically when this Earth plane was infiltrated. Some people like to call it hijacked. I don't know. I don't really feel like it was hijacked because from what I have experienced also in a very, very deep mushroom ceremony um, in April of last year that has been shifting in so many ways for me and anchored in so many truths for me. But in that, I literally became Mother Earth, literally became merged with her. I did this mushroom ceremony with another individual, and it was something that either of us could never really put into words, but one of the most powerful experiences. And in the journey, I became Mother Earth. I was brought to her original blueprint, if you will. And then I was shown the fall, right? The fall of Gaia and how we as a species consented to that, how this earth plane consented to that. There was consent in the fall because it was all for experimentation. Like, and so the things coming out in the Stein files, like literally human experimentation, like gross, but on a higher perspective, our souls knew that. And I know this without a doubt in my heart and soul because I am one of those people that has been experimented on. And I know why. And while, again, I still have human emotions around what is surfacing. I am also so grateful that I have my higher self perspective of super standing. Why? Why in the F is this happening in this game, in this reality? Why? Why? Right? And it was when I started asking why 8 years ago, 9 years ago, that I started getting my answers. And so I will backtrack to when I first started remembering my traumas in Colombia. So I was born in Colombia and adopted and came here to United States when I was about 13 and a half, 14 months old. It was a closed adoption. Um, and we have, paperwork from Colombia that I have studied a multitude of times since I was a kid because I've always known I was adopted. My parents were always very open with me. Um, I remember as a kid going to picnics um, through the agency I was adopted through, and like it was all other kids from around the world that had been adopted. So something I've always known about myself. It wasn't like I found out later in life, thank God. Um, and something I've always been, ironically, proud of. Um, because my family that adopted me, who is my family, like people are like, your adopted family. It's like, no, they're my family. um, they saved me in a sense, many senses. Um, and I always like knew that, but I didn't know what I knew around that. And so July of 2023, I was in my house in Arizona doing laundry. And all of a sudden, I started having this visceral body reaction and memories coming back of my time in the orphanage in Colombia. Now, mind you, I was not in an intentional journey at that point. I had done a shit ton of shadow work and trauma work up to that point, which is why I was ready for this information to be remembered at this time. But it whacked me out of nowhere because again, literally I remember I was folding laundry and all of a sudden I started to feel like I couldn't breathe. My body got cold. I felt nauseous. So I sat down on the side of the bed and I just started remembering. I remembered being in a freezer, locked in a freezer. Um, I started feeling things in my body in like the lower regions um, that I knew hadn't come from any like other experience in this human life. But again, it was like a deep knowing. But my human mind was like, what in the actual F? Why are these memories coming in right now? Like, is this real? And so I remember I texted Sam and all I said to her in the text was, I am being flooded with a plethora of memories right now from Colombia. And I just need to know, is this all in my head or is this true? Even though everything in my body was telling me it was true. It was literally like having a memory come back that like you suppressed maybe when you were like 10 years old or something, and then all of a sudden and you're like, oh fuck yeah, I totally remember. It's like you every part of you remembers it, right? Like nothing and no one could tell you otherwise because it's truth. And so I texted her and I just said, I need to just know, like, am I, like, is this all in my head or like, what the fuck? Now, I didn't tell her anything that I was remembering. So that's not how Sam and I work. She immediately responded within, like, I want to say like 10 seconds and said she could feel like her throat chakra and like sacral solar area being constricted, penetrated, whatever, and heard, yes, unfortunately, it's all true. And so that began a huge journey for me again, and also was like, I believe the catalyst that really imploded my marriage. Um, so shortly after those memories start coming back, I share it with my now ex-husband, but at the time my husband, who also had all of the same knowledge as I did up to that point about the external matrix. And he and I, while we had a lot of the same awarenesses, navigated the information very differently. Again, I used all of this as motivation, medicine to get to the truth, right? Instead of being just sucked into the anger and the rage and the grief around all of it, it was like, but why? But why? Why higher self? Why God source creator? Like, why? What is the purpose? And so in those whys, I was always getting my answers. And in that, it was like healing me. It was helping me to understand the bigger picture of what my soul came to incarnate into an experience, right? And so here I'm navigating these really hard truths while simultaneously working to forgive what happened to me. Um, and I'm with someone who is just enraged by all of it. Um, and so the whole conspiracy theory world um, is something Sam and I navigated uh, with our intuition from the higher perspective, with our soul guiding the way. And so while I know the majority of them are true, or there's truth to all of them, again, I also was getting the answers to why. But I was living in an environment too that was so enraged by all of it and literally just like pumping it in my face all the time because he wanted me to be mad about all of it, right? He wanted me to share in his emotional state about it. And it was like, I am mad about it, but I also like have to forgive it. I have to, because I know that's what I'm here to do. I know I'm here to be the love that can face the darkest fears and accept the journey and the experience and the experiment for what it is and what it was. Because in that, I can't even explain the value, the gifts, the purposes, the things that so many people are still searching for. Like It was all revealed to me because I was asking why. Why? And as an adult, I'm asking, why have I created all of these survival patterns? Why? Where did it come from? How the fuck do I break out of these patterns that have kept me in survival mode, in trauma bonds, right? Why? 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 I got curious. And thank God, because I believe that is what allowed me to survive the rabbit holes. Because my friends, the rabbit holes are so effing deep. But I'm able to go in, do my digging, get my why, and get the fuck out. I don't stay in there. I go in, I use it as medicine, I come out, I am the light. That's how it works. It's literally how it works. It's how it's worked for me. That's how I'm able to hold both realities in my body, the shadow and the light, the grief and the gratitude, the joy and the despair. That is literally what I'm here to do. That is literally what many of us are here to do. But we cannot embody these realities if we are not willing to ask why, if we're not willing to look at them, to feel them. You can't embody something that you're bypassing, that you're sweeping under the rug, that you're pretending is fine. You can't move through it and actually see the purpose and the value in the experience. And so, my friends, I will use the word once in this video, adrenochrome. It's out there everywhere now. It's been out there. What do you think Google Chrome is named after? I am a victim of that. Okay? It has been validated to me in every way, shape, and form. The July 2023 initial download, all the downloads that have come after, other psychic readings, not that I needed the validation, but have validated everything that I know is my truth. And my truth is, I was experimented on in a multitude of ways, like many of us. But I also know I chose into it. I came here as this hybrided bloodline, like many of us, to actually help heal the very distorted bloodlines that are doing what they're doing. Many know them as the reptilians. I made a video in March of 2024, 2 days before my birthday, where I literally called out the reptilians and told them that I love them, that I'm not afraid of them. They're an aspect of me, they're an aspect of the human plane. And while I don't love what we've consented to doing with them and allowing them to do, my human don't love it so much all the time. My higher self does, because I know why. And I know that just like every race, there are good and bad ones, right? Even though I don't live really in a world of good and bad, even though we live in a world of duality, I don't label it as good and bad. Yes, do evil things happen? 1,000% they happen to me. I'm not bypassing that, not negating that. And this is where people get very triggered because people perceive this as like a neutral standpoint, and I have no feelings around the whole. Are you fucking kidding me? I have so many feelings around all of it. But again, I've done so much work to superstand. Why? Why did it happen? Why did I choose into it? And what am I going to do now about it? Well, I'm going to heal my inner child because I can tell you that's how we save the children. All of those children are a mirror, metaphor, symbol of all of our inner children that are stuck in trauma and abuse and don't even, many of us don't even know it because we've blocked it out. And how do I know this? Because I've done so many sessions with people where guess what? Those dark traumas come up. And I'm able to hold space. Why? Because I've held it for myself time and time and time and time and time and time again. And I will continue to. Because this last 4 or 5 days, I've had some Really good time by myself to do my deep diving, and I needed to because I've been through a lot of different shifts in the last couple of months, and I've needed some space to integrate all of that. And so the last few days, my higher self has guided me into the e-files. I was a little surprised because I'm like, well, I know this stuff. Like, what am I even looking for? Right? I don't even like, I was going in there and not knowing what I'm looking for. But because I trust my intuition and myself, I'm like, all right, get curious. There's a reason I'm being guided. Full on chills, full on chills. And I started just like searching things intuitively. I started looking into Colombia, validated a lot. Started looking into cloning, validated a lot. Started looking into all of the things that I know my beautiful little avatar was used for. And there it all was. There it all is. Um, so what this revealed to me is where I'm at in my journey, because literally 2 years ago, February 5th, February 5th, Sam did a regression on me. Because again, remember the memories started coming back in July of 2023. And then more memories came back in August and September. That is when I had a very powerful sweat lodge at the beautiful place I live now, Tico Time, which was also uh, so shifting around this whole reality of what had happened to me and my connection with Colombia and finding more people that I was connected with through Colombia. Um, and so again, the things started coming after that like whack of information in July. It was like things then started coming in a little slower. But all just connecting more dots and validating more stuff. I was guided to go back into my files from Colombia. And I was like, I've read these so many times. Like, there's not much in there because most of it's in Spanish and it's from a third world country and like it's like half-assed paperwork, right? But I kept hearing, no, you got to go back in because now you know. So now read it with a different lens. And so a lot of in the paperwork, like I was really sick. Shocking. Really sick the time that I was there. With pneumonias and GI stuff. And now knowing what I know, what was being done, makes perfect sense because one of the things that they were like testing me for was like this thermoregulation. And that's why I was put into freezers for extended periods of time to like see how long a human can withstand it, which is why I fucking hate the cold now. And I've shared this in other videos. Um, it's like, dude, I don't even know how to say it, but it's like once I remembered all these truths, it just made everything in my adult life to me make sense. I'm like, oh my God, this is why I'm this way. This is why I do this. This is why I fear this. This is why I react this way. Oh my God. Like, how do you not see the value in that? And that is why I say, like, light and dark, like, from an energetic standpoint, I'm not talking good, evil, but I'm talking about like the light and the dark from an energetic perspective. Light is information, dark is lack of information. That's it. That's all it is. And so by gaining all of this information back, I had so much superstanding of my human self. And in that, I was able to have so much compassion for her and so much grace for everything I had been through. And then in turn, guess what? That allowed me to have that for everyone else in the world. Because when you truly embody those feelings for yourself, you can't not feel that for every other fucking human. You can't not. It's not faked. You can't fake it. Energy doesn't lie. So, July, I get the rude awakening. August, September, more information. Now, in the meantime, I'm also navigating a lot of challenges in my marriage. Um, because it seemed like since I started to remember this about my life, it only amplified the anger and rage that my ex was already feeling about everything. And understandably so, but somehow that got projected at me, which I was very confused by. I'm like, what? How is this? How, what? Okay. But it did. And you know what? I'm grateful it did because it was the final push to force me out of that very wounded marriage. I had done enough work on myself to love myself that I finally had the final pushes because I could not take the projected anger and rage anymore. And so, February of 2024, again, February 5th, Sam does the regression for me because I'm in this kind of space of feeling something big coming, but not knowing what, and just getting this very, very, very deep guidance. Have Sam regress you. You need to know every little thing that was done so you can A, forgive it, but B, more importantly, well, the forgiveness, of course, is just as important, but most importantly for me, it was again, it was the understanding of what those things that happened to me caused within my human self. Like, so basically my patterns, my addictions, my vices, my whatever, right? It was like, I have to see what was done. So yes, I can forgive it, understand why in the F my soul chose this experience, and how do I now navigate my human differently? How do I step out of all of those programs that kept me in these wounded relationships in my unconscious, subconscious traumas, right? So I courageously asked my beautiful weird, soul sister to do the regression. And we did it on February 5th of 2024. And it was like a 4 hour ordeal, of course, because nothing we do is short and sweet. And when you're diving into this shit, ain't nothing short and sweet about it. But fuck, was it powerful. And then the next day, my mother-in-law died. And well, that was the final catalyst for me and my husband for sure. Because then that next month was rough. I could feel what surfaced within him when I did the regression, and it wasn't good. And then his mother dies the next day. So, not good. We did our best to get through that next month. And then March 6th, I make a video sharing my story. And basically, that's when I called out the reptilian race and told them I love them and that I'm not backing down because I know that there is an aspect of their DNA in me and I'm here to help free that bloodline. And then something attached. Something came in and attached itself. And shit got really bad for a week. And on March 14th, um, 2024, that was the end of my marriage. I stayed in that house for a couple weeks, but had to get out real fast because of the energy that came in and infiltrated. And thank God it did, because it was the final push. It gave me the courage to finally love myself and my husband enough to walk away. And so I left everything behind and moved to New Mexico. And holy shit, has it been a crazy 2 years since moving there. Here. I say there because right now I'm up in Colorado, but it's all the same. Um, and so in these 2 years, so much more has come to light and come to the surface. And I've been able to navigate it differently because I have created my own safe environment to live in and navigate these things instead of it all just being shoved in my face 24/7 with an energy of anger and rage. I was able to then do some more external research when guided to validate my own truths. And then the e-files come out, right? And I wasn't really going to do any, like, go deep diving into them because it's all stuff that I'm very aware of. And I didn't see the value in it. And I've not watched the Netflix documentary because I know that that is just a very distorted version of it. Because hello, now mind you, I watch Netflix. I partake in the Matrix things because I've come to a point where I feel like I know how to play in the game but not be of the game, and I am here to play in this game, and so I just use all different things with different intent than I did than when I was like asleep and just like programmed by everything. So I'm very conscious and intentional with what I watch, what I listen to, because again, everything's energy. And I'm not going to watch things that are I know already right from the start are distorted and lies. But I'm just not going to feed that energy and it's not going to serve me. So I haven't watched that. No desire to. But the files, a couple days ago, all of a sudden, I'm being guided to go into the files. And I'm like, why am I going into the files? What am I looking for? I don't even know what I'm looking for. And again, my higher self just had me start like typing certain things, and it was validation, just validation, 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 more memories, more memories. So to me, it was like still releasing like residual hauntings of this so I can be a powerhouse of a space holder for people that are already reaching out to me that are kind of losing their minds around all of this. And it's like, how do I best serve them? How do I hold space without being sucked in to the emotion of it, right? And that is a very powerful gift to have as a space holder. And it has taken an insane amount of work on myself to be able to do that for others. Understand that, like, if you're someone that has trouble holding space, what does holding space mean? It literally means sitting with someone while they feel their feels and express themselves. And it doesn't mean giving advice, trying to make somebody feel better. Like, it literally means your presence is showing them that they're not alone, but that you know they're sovereign and powerful enough to handle whatever it is they're processing. But you're literally just there witnessing it. That's what holding space means. You're not trying to talk them out of the emotion, try to make them think about something else. That is the programming of this society, my friends. That is literally distracting people. It's a form of gaslighting that's very, very unconscious, but it and we do it to ourselves. What do we do when we feel uncomfortable? Usually, like, we don't want to feel uncomfortable, whatever the emotion is or whatever the experience. So we do something really fast to distract ourselves, to numb out, we're all great at doing it. Like again, no judgment, just how we've been programmed. And like we're all masters at it. But it's like recognizing that. And so holding space literally means you're witnessing someone, but energetically, you're also telling them, hey, I fucking see you. I see your power. I know what you're navigating right now is god awful, but I also know you can do it. And how do you embody this trust in people? Because you do it for yourself. You literally do these things for yourself first. You can't hold space for people if you can't hold space for your own shit. Like you can't. Because what you're going to want to do is give advice. You're going to literally feel yourself uncomfortable in the other person's presence as they're navigating raw emotions. Like you will feel yourself get uncomfortable. And guess why? Because you haven't processed your own shit. That's a good indicator. I'm sharing this because it's just so important for us to understand because people don't get what it means to hold space. They don't. And I can tell you that holding space is one of the most empowering ways to embody and share love with each other. Like it's literally witnessing someone's sovereignty, their God self and their human self all in one. And basically, your energy is sitting there and saying, hey, you're not alone. But I also know that what you're navigating is not for me to carry. Okay. It's not our job to carry other people's shit. It's not. And we've been very misguided in that. We think that it's love if we protect people and we take on their shit. No, 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 no. That is what's keeping us enslaved and distracted and in our own suffering because energetically we've taken on everybody's stuff, but also not dealt with our own stuff. And that's why I say if you're navigating the stein files, um, just be mindful of what it's triggering within yourself because there's medicine there. There is information there. There's light in that darkness. So I share all of this because I know that I've done so much work on myself in regards to especially this narrative that I can share it from a more healed perspective of acceptance of what my soul chose into, what many of our souls chose into, even though it might not make any sort of logical sense to the human mind, because it's like, what? Like the logical human mind can't understand why we would sign up for suffering. But I've done enough inner work and connection with spirit for myself to have a superstanding of why, of trusting the fall of Gaia, trusting my fall, trusting everyone around me that they are strong enough to fall. Okay. Like we're very conditioned as humans to want to run in and save. Again, that's the old blueprint. We save everyone else by saving ourselves. We save the children by reclaiming our inner child and saving those fragmented parts that are still stuck in certain traumas. That is how we shift the energy of what happens here. Okay. Like the whole, like, this starts from the inside out isn't just like fluff bullshit talk. Some people may deliver it that way, but I'm here to tell you, like, I embody that belief. I integrate that. It's fucking real. Our energetic state imprints every other thing on this planet. So if our energy is not aligned, if it's disharmonized, disconnected, distorted, disembodied, then we are feeding the narratives that we're pissed off at right now. We're feeding those narratives energetically. We're feeding those narratives, and we will stay stuck in the third and fourth dimension. But those of us that stay in our heart, that know what it means to have a warrior heart, an open heart means I can see all the darkness. I can hold it all while simultaneously holding all the light. And when I'm saying holding, I'm not talking about carrying people's baggage, carrying people's shit. I'm talking about, can you actually embody all of these truths as truth and as the reality that we chose into in this incarnation? Can you accept that? Can you accept both light and dark? Because if you can't, then you're going to be fragmented. And everything that happens out there is going to pull you into it, distract you, right? But when you can allow yourself to be aware of it from an observer point of view, accept it from a healing victim point of view, then I promise you, you will start to see why. And honestly think that that's all I have to say right now around all of this. I'm just going to take a minute here to just ground back into my heart, my body, because some of that was channeled. Um, when we keep our hearts open, our eyes can no longer deceive us. That just came in. When we close our heart, which basically means we live in a state of fear, we're afraid to know these realities, we're afraid to know these truths. And again, when I'm saying that, understand there's no judgment around that as humans. I have the utmost empathy and compassion for those of us that are having a hard time even looking at this as a potential reality. Okay. Like, I get it. I don't judge where any of us are at because I've been there and I have love for that version of myself. But I'm here to also share with you it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be pissed and sad. It's not only okay, I encourage you to feel any feels you have regarding all of this. I encourage you to feel these things. Find a safe space to express these things. Find ways to channel these energies, right? Like dancing for me is such a good way to move energy and get maybe some sacred rage out. I love to dance. Dancing is like medicine for me in so many ways. Like it's funny because it's like I use it for joy as well, but I also use it when I'm pissed because my body needs to move that energy, right? Another thing I love to do when I need to like release and don't want to do it because I'm very mindful of like energy, right? And like if I'm in a house or in my space, like with my dogs, like I don't want to release my anger around them, right? Or other people. It's like I have a very healthy relationship now with my emotions, meaning like I allow them to be what they are and I allow myself to express them as I need to, because in the expression of them, it's the releasing of them. And so sometimes I have to get in my car and literally, like, sometimes I don't drive off, like, because sometimes I'm not in a state that maybe I should be driving, but I just need to get into a container that is only me. And I'll get in my car and just yell the word fuck, like at the top of my lungs. And honestly, so therapeutic for me. It's actually something we did at our embodied medicine retreat in August, last August, as we were all around the fire on 88 Lionsgate. And I had shared that that is something I do and it's therapeutic for me. And so all, I don't know, 15, 16 of us are howling at the moon and literally yelling. And it was awesome. Um, because it was like we're letting out all this rage. And then at the end of it, we're all laughing. And like that to me is such a perfect example of alchemy. We allowed ourselves to like let that rage out. And then it's like once it moved through, we're like, oh my God, now we're laughing. Now we're like, now this is funny, right? Kind of makes you feel a little bipolar, this whole multidimensional way of being. But then you realize bipolar is a label of the system and it's very limiting. And I think we're all bipolar because what is bipolar? Both ends of the spectrum, the light and the dark. So, fuck, yeah, I hope I'm bipolar because that just means I allow myself to experience both polarities, right? And the more we wake up to this multidimensionalism within ourselves, like the more bipolar you're probably going to feel because you're allowing yourself to now feel your shit from both ends of the spectrum. And I'm at a point in my journey now where I'm learning, relearning to really embody joy, ironically. And I love it because I'm the grief coach in the branches of vibrational healing, right? So I'm like, you know, dark shadow girl. Like let's like talk about all the shit nobody wants to talk about, grief, right? And my beautiful business partner, Sam, her thing is soul joy. So again, we are yin yang. We are both ends of the spectrum because she and I are both ends of the spectrum. So while she delivers it as soul joy and I deliver it as grief recovery, it's all one and the same, right? Um, and so in that, I don't know why I started to say this about she and I in the yin yang. Because I was duh, talking about how I'm in this chapter of my life where I'm like really welcoming in the energy of joy. And what does that mean to me? What does joy look like to me? Because again, we have all these sort of programmed ideas and expectations and what other people have perceived as joy, but like, what does joy feel like to me? How do I embody joy? What are the things in my life that I do that amplify my joy, right? Like stuff like that. And it's such an important part of my journey right now because I've been in such deep, dark kind of shadow work for a while and very intentional, like healing work that sometimes you can almost get like too serious with it, right? And I also, my marriage, and this is anything I share about my marriage, I'm never talking bad about my ex. And I know I've said that in other videos, but I just always feel like I want to say that. Because what I'm sharing is just like our experience, but my intention is not to talk bad about him because I love him. I will always have love for him. I am love. So it's like I don't know how not to have love for people, no matter what they've done or where they're at. If anything, I have more love for him now that I've released my attachments to him. Because again, remember that attachment is rooted in fear. And so because I've released my attachments to him, I actually can embody this higher energy of love for him. And so anything I share is to just use my experience as a tool for people because I know what I've gone through is very similar to what many of us go through in this human experience. So I know that the more of us that share what we go through from a more healed lens, not from a victim perspective, the more we help other people embody their medicine and their truths free of shame. Um, and so again, I'm at this point now in my life where joy is so necessary. And this is why I love my new partner so very much because he embodies this innocent kind of childlike energy. But I don't mean that in any sort of derogatory way. If anything, I mean he embodies the energy that most of us are trying to get back to as adults, right? This, though he has the awareness of the darkness, um, he still very much embodies love and light, right? And he's this beautiful reflection of what I was holding in my marriage too, because I was in this environment of such despair around the external world that I could have allowed that to suck me in. And I was like, oh, hell to the no. Mm-mm. I see everything you're saying. I'm not negating anything you're saying. I know it's all true. Hello, again, I've experienced it. But I also know that the polar opposite is just as true. I know that for the amount of darkness there is an equal amount, if not even more light. And so my partner that I'm with now, he is like this reflection of the me that was in my marriage of, yeah, I know that's all going on, but I want to be the joy, right? I want to do the things in my life that bring me joy. Because again, we're all imprinting this earth plane with our energy, our frequency. And so people that are actually allowing themselves to live a joyful life, and I'm talking an authentically joyful life, not a fake positive, and that's a whole another video I'll do probably, I'm hearing. Um, and I made just like a post about it the other day, but like I'm not talking about like the fake positivity of like bypassing the darkness where everybody's like, I'm loving light, but I don't need to know anything that's going on out there. It's like, and I'm just doing that. Like it's not like a judgment, but it's just like there's a lot of that happening still. And again, it's observation when I see it. It's like, oh, okay, we're still not grasping what love and light is fully and we're bypassing, but that's okay. Like it's part of the process of it all. Like it really is. All of these ways that we're being are all part of the evolutionary phases. So there's again no judgment around it. But um back to the whole joy thing, because I keep kind of like trailing, but I just keep being reminded. The joy, the joy, the joy. Remember the joy. So I'm gonna end this video with kind of on a positive note, right? Joyful note that because I've allowed myself to do this deep grief work, um, feeling all of the emotions we as humans label as bad, negative emotions. Again, I don't see them as that. But all the lower vibrational emotions, right? By really allowing myself to go there and continuously going there, I can now also authentically embody joy and how fucking badass and freeing that is. Because that is what allows me to hold this sort of higher perspective of what the fuck is happening here, what happened to me, what happened, what happened and is happening to so many other people. Um, because again, I see the value in every experience and experiment we do here. I see the value in it, purpose, right? Doesn't mean that my human self, again, always has to agree with it or love it. But higher part of me gets it and does love it, ironically. And that's what it means to be multidimensional. Like honoring all these aspects of us and go and saying, like, okay, I can have my human feels and be pissed and disgusted, but also I don't have to stay in that, right? I can have my feels, express my feels, and then my feels shift into a higher feel. And then it's like, all right, well, what am I going to go do today? While the rest of the world is um, having some rude awakenings, what can I do to show up for myself and them? Because them is me, um, in the best way, in the most loving way. And it's to continue honoring my path. And so there are some days that I am in the shadow of the collective. Um, and then there are other days where I'm like, I'm just gonna have fun today. Like that's it. I'm just gonna have fun today. Right. And that is to me what it means to honor, embody, integrate our wholeness, all aspects of us, realizing we're none of these things, but all of them at the same time. And so that's my spiel for today. Um, be gentle with yourselves as we keep waking up. Take care of yourselves. Reach out if you need support to safe places, places that you are not going to feel judged. Again, Sim and I are solid space holders. We are some of the safest containers I know of. Um, so we're here for you. You're not alone, but also know that every single one of you is sovereign and powerful enough to navigate the darkest of the darkest truths and also the lightest and the brightest. Give yourself permission to experience all of it, to feel all of it, because our humans need that permission. We walk around with a lot of shame about our feelings and our thoughts. Like we carry so much shame around what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and that's what's keeping us stuck in a lot of things, right? So it's like give yourself permission to be bipolar. Give yourself permission to be multidimensional, to feel the highs and the lows, and give yourself grace and give everybody else that same permission and grace and compassion. And keep your hearts open. Keep your hearts open, 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 because love doesn't fear fear. Fear fears fear. And when we live with an open heart, we can face anything. And we are all so much more powerful and so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for and that we realize. And I know this now about myself. I've lived life pretty fearfully for a long time. And while I don't ever believe that while we're on the earth plane that we are fearless, I now see fear as an ally. And instead of running from it, I say, all right, fear, what are you here to teach me about me? Because ironically, fear being the polar opposite of love is one and the same as love. And when you can love the fear, guess what? It all fucking makes sense. That's all I can say. So I love you. Thanks.